right now after also Donald Trump retracted the temporal permanent status, and he is reviewing all the green cards of many who are living in Minnesota, or people also who are of Somali, of course, ilk, and they will be adversely affected by this. I want just to ask him what he thinks about what Donald Trump has actually stated so far. Just tipping off his tongue, I don't know, some of the remarks calling it a garbage. I mean, this is expected of Donald Trump, maybe you would say. Earlier on, I think in his previous regime, we had him, talking of Africa as, I don't want to pronounce that particular word, a very reductive expletive. I don't know what you think about his pronouncements lately. Good evening. Good to see you.
Good evening, viewers. I think the comments that I just had and attributed to the President of the United States of America, the Honorable Trump, is not only disgusting, but it's totally unexpected. America, over the years, has projected itself as the leading nation of the civilized world in democracy, in the protection of basic rights, in adherence to the Geneva Convention of 1951 on the status of refugees, and generally on both bilateralism and multilateralism. And however, Trump attempts to deal with certain pertinent internal American issues, I think there is need to still adhere to the role of America as a global leader, the role of America as the first among equal on democracies, on good governance. And I think what I've just had is bizarre, totally unexpected, and totally unacceptable. Let's say this, America has been home, you know the history of America, we all understand the history of America. Fortunately, even Trump himself is of German descent. I think many people know this. So he's also a product of migration. I didn't want to define. You're aware of one of his key biographers, the Quenda Blair, one time talked about his history, his background, and these things are documented. So I think those statements are totally, in my opinion, totally unexpected and have no place in the civilized world. And the American president should behave in a manner that projects the history of America, in a manner that promotes globalism, in a manner that respects refugee rights, in a manner that gives a bit of distance to what comes out from the holder of a very important office in the world. So to the Somalis, I know it was not their choice. Let me tell you this, maybe there's one thing that many people are not aware. Today the Somalis are the most widely spread community in the world. They have overtaken the Jews. It's not the making of Trump, it's not the making of anybody else. People just need to understand the Somalis. The Somalis are the second largest community in the African continent after the Ormos. I think these are things, maybe between them and the Fulanis, Somalia, this is documented.
The Ormos of Ethiopia?
The Ormos of Ethiopia actually are call it the most dominant community actually in Africa, right now followed by the Somalis. This is historical, this is fact. And because of generally the you see, one needs to understand the anthropology of the Somalis. These are people who are very hardworking. Wherever they go, they make business, they venture into business. And that is not something that anybody will be worried about. It is in their blood. It is part of their heritage. And therefore, the contribution of the Somali community to wherever they have been, like they have done in Kenya, like they are doing in America, is not something that can easily be rubbished. And I hope and pray that this statement, unexpected statement from Trump, will encourage the Somalis actually to work hard and remain a critical component of the international community.
All right, but just let's look at the allegations that are being raised against the Minnesota community, the Somali community there. There's accusation of fraud swamping the social services there. We're talking about over $200 billion that has been gamed by some of the legislators there under the guise of, supporting the autism program, under the guise of supporting the other able children. And they're claiming that these funds, they are being transferred through the Hawala to go to Somalia and, support the criminal gangs, of course, the terrorists, Al-Qaeda. That is why we can see Donald Trump is fulminating with anger. And many people are raising concerns regarding this. In fact, I think there's an investigation that has been opened by the FBI regarding this particular allegations.
You see, again, we need to understand, America has one of the most elaborate criminal justice system. And we always say that criminal responsibility is individual. If they're individuals, and I don't want to vouch for any fraudster or any individual who is hell-bent on taking advantage of the situation of the vulnerable people actually in Somalia and other parts of the world, but I think if there is an iota of evidence on the serious allegations made, that cannot be attack of a particular community. It can only be attack of a criminal. And a criminal is a criminal, regardless of the status. So why will a whole community be condemned simply because of the actions or inactions of a particular individual? The system in America, the criminal justice system in America is very, very elaborate, and you understand it. And therefore, if a proper investigation was carried out, I'm sure by now arrests will have been made, individuals will have been arraigned in court, and with proper evidence and proper prosecution, those individuals will be convicted. But just because of a generalized, politically oriented allegations, and I could see where it's coming from. Because when you condemn the governor of Minnesota for harboring in court many members of the Somali community, I have been to Minnesota. I understand the politics there. I think that is generally driven by hatred. It's generally driven by the petty partisan political rhetorics that we have been seeing in that part of the world. And in future, the American system is so resilient, it's so strong, and I'm sure the Somalis and all the other communities right now who are under attack will overcome this in due course. And I want to encourage the governor of Minnesota and other leaders of Minnesota should not be swayed by this unwarranted and totally uncalled for attack on the members of the Somali community who are rightfully in America. If one enjoys a refugee status, it's not just the making of an individual. You are protected by law, by the Geneva Convention of 1951. If you have rightfully acquired citizenship of America through the established legal system, then you are there by right. Okay? It's not something that is at the whim of Donald Trump or anybody else. So I think my plea is the world right now requires civility. The world right now requires predictability. The world right now requires adherence to the established diplomatic norms. What we are seeing right now is chaos, and maybe, who knows, we are approaching, or the world right now requires another period of renaissance. And I hope that historians will guide us, because we have had a number of periods, intermittent periods of renaissance. And I think what we are seeing right now, because of the chaos we are seeing everywhere, because of the unpredictable, undiplomatic statements that we are seeing everywhere, the world now, right now, is in the age of chaos. And who will arbitrate? Who will mediate if the only remaining global power right now is seen in all sorts of unexpected political statement? This is totally uncalled for. This is not what the world requires.
Okay. I'll hang on there. I will also be asking you momentarily after we go on with the business news, maybe thereafter, regarding the statements also by Ilhan Omar. She seems to be speaking from both sides of her mouth when she's speaking to, the Americans and when she's speaking to the Somali community as well. So I would want you maybe to also expound on that and just clarify, are they really protecting the interest of Somalians in America? And what about the aspect of assimilation, enculturation, where you embrace, the culture and the laws of the land that you're living in as well, right? That will be on the other side of a break when we continue with the conversation. But for now, let's see what is happening in the world of